They were there to...
The brigades that we saw there were from where?
Let me just say something.
Minister Musa, the brigades that we saw in Zamfara were from where?
What they said, let me just explain, let me just state.
Yes.
What they said is that they tried as much as possible to take out the military from electoral matters. However, they were deployed there, as we have seen in previous election cycles, the militarization. No, I think that's what we should actually talk about. The militarization of our elections. We've often talked about it, where the police is supposed to come.
But before we go, what happened in the PDP is not a triumph for Wike. Wike says the November convention will not happen. What they have done is to outsmart him. Now Damagum is a substantive chairman. He's going to preside over that convention in November in Ibadan, Oyo State. And when he does, he will exterminate. In other words, there will be a new chairman. Samuel Anyanwu, because it's an elective convention, will no longer be chairman. Wike's hand has just been tactically removed from the party. That is what the meeting yesterday, that is what it means. And then, now that they have zoned the presidency to the south, okay, some newspapers are saying it's Jonathan, it's Peter Obi, whatever. It means that the south is going to field a southern candidate. Some people say it's a triumph for Wike, but it's not a triumph for Wike. It's the beginning of the end of Wike in PDP.
So, Dr. Bata, are you saying that he will not put his hat in the ring? Wike will not...
Which hat? Inside the PDP?
That's what I'm saying. If I don't
no, because his influence will have pettered out.
All right, let's see.
So don't use it to celebrate Wike.
No, I'm not celebrating Wike at all. Not at all. I'm not celebrating Wike on the table. What I'm stating is what the event, what could potentially happen. Calling it in advance.
What will potentially happen is that Wike will learn his lessons, and PDP looks like it's rescuing itself from the intensive care unit that Suswam talked about.
We need to go, but a number of things to get to. Hopefully, during the newspaper review.
Don't whitewash Wike here.
Not whitewashing Wike at all.
The enemy is within. As chiefs of defense staff and heads of our armed forces, we must lead the charge in modernizing our forces, investing in cyber defense, artificial intelligence, and indigenous military technology, without which it will be difficult for us to achieve our security.
A key part of the summit is the exhibition of local military technologies, including advanced weaponry, vehicles, and other military accoutrements.
Mr. Wike has come out to say, I was right. I told you so. G5 2022 was the right direction. But beyond that, what was happening, we also brought what's happening in Brazil, some of the deals signed by the president. Your take on this story, Rufai?
No, Mr. Wike was not right. Let me start from here first. It was not right. And you see, sometimes when we talk in public, we think all Nigerians have selective amnesia. Or maybe, it's either one, maybe they think Nigerians have selective amnesia, or clearly they just think Nigerians are delusional. But I think it's the latter. I think a lot of these people pretty much think Nigerians are delusional when they say these things. Vindication on what? No. You forget that he decided to run in a party primaries that they said they were going to keep open. They both made the agreement in the PDP that they were going to keep it open to all zones. And he ran. And before he ran, I remember that maybe the producers will be playing their tape back for them again. I remember that day before the voting started. He said anybody that emerged, what will he do? He will support the person. He said it. He opened himself up for it. Then he didn't go his way. He didn't support the person. The argument they gave was because they said that Tamba was the hero of the primaries and all of that. But he vowed with his own mouth. Then, apart from that, there was still a lot of lobbying to be vice presidential candidates. We are setting history straight because of revisionism. Dino Melaye said in some reporting that he called him 19 times to help him talk to Atiku. So there was still some lobbying to be. The question we should ask, if he was vice presidential running mate to Atiku, would all of this fight happen? When that did not work, when that became a babushous exercise, then he went against his party. We'll never forget that. So please, let me quote Mr. Nyesom Wike. The true hero of the last election was Peter Obi. Because it was Peter Obi, people like Peter Obi that had the conviction, once they knew that the PDP was not going to zone it to the south, they left and they went to try their luck somewhere else. So, how is he being vindicated? If he knew that it was so sure for him, and the PDP was not going to zone it to the south, and he felt disadvantaged, he too would have done what the likes of the Peter Obi did. To be very double sure about it. But he stayed on, and he followed the process, hoping it was going to favor him. It didn't favor him, then he tried to bring the party down. And I'm sure for my very good friend and colleague, Mr. Sambo yesterday that was saying they were going to discipline Wike, talks of disciplining Wike. I was just laughing. They can never do anything to Wike because Wike holds the party by the jugular. And please, newsflash, in this fight with Seyi Makinde and all of that by the soul of the party, Wike will probably come out tops. I speak the facts to the matter because I have seen it. And now, in all fairness to Wike, he was the only one that stayed back that was expending money on the party when others were nowhere to be found. And that's why he lays a claim to the party today. Some people in the PDP will never like these things I say. And they will argue to the high heavens about it. But any of them should come out and say what they have done, how it trumps what Wike has done for the party. But that's not an open sesame for Wike to now say because things don't go my way, I will bring the party down. So as regards that, yes, they finally had their NEC meeting. Power is going to be zoned to the south. It's going to open door for the likes of Goodluck Jonathan. But anybody that's going to come to the PDP, remember that you will need Wike's endorsement because Wike pretty much owns the party. As regards Brazil, yes, President Tinubu was at the Plano Alto presidential palace, one of the loveliest presidential palaces you can ever think of, designed by the great architect Oscar Niemeyer. And for those in the architectural field, they know the great work that man stands for. He lived a very long life, I think well up to over 100. And they signed deals, they talked agreements. But for me, kudos, commendations, and questions. Kudos, yes, the deal. We're talking about Petrobras coming back. Anyway, it's not a new conversation. As at May this year, Petrobras was already looking at 4 wells in Cote d'Ivoire, in Angola, and a couple of other parts. The announcement made as regards Petrobras coming back. So President Tinubu saying they should hasten their comeback is also well. And why did Petrobras leave in the first place? I think we should ask questions. Petrobras left as a fallout of what is called the Lava-Jato scandal, which is the Operation Car Wash. What happened was that there was an allegation of money laundering through a car wash that opened a can of worms as regards how some Brazilian companies gave bribe. Odebrecht, manufacturing companies, Brazilian officials giving bribe. It affected Petrobras and the likes. They lost a lot of money. They lost billions of reais and billions of dollars in this scandal. So after that, Petrobras said, let's scale down most of our operation to be able to look at things properly. So after they be able to clear the encumbrance of Lava-Jato, they are now thinking of doing businesses not only in Nigeria but across the African continent. Yes, there's another conversation on agriculture, which is good. But I remember that mid last year, there was a deal that was signed by JBS with Nigerian authorities. Where are we on the deal? Has it started? Are we implementing? How can we follow up? Because it's not just for us to be able to announce all of these deals. There's also the Green Initiative deal and a couple of other deals like that. We should be able to follow up. The last story I'm going to look at quickly. Yes, military doctrine, supporting the military as the CDS military chiefs meet all over African continent. See, the most important doctrine that the military needs to fight terrorism and counter-terrorism is to devolve themselves from any slant of political higgledy-piggledy, if I can use that word. Because that's what is killing this country. And I will give just an instance as I wrap up, if they will allow me to wrap up. Did you see the recent elections? Make-up elections in Zamfara State. You need to see the trucks of military and security forces that were there. Just for an election that they had done to a certain extent, the numbers were almost tied, and they needed to do a supplementary elections. In Zamfara State, the videos are there. The question is, why doesn't the military deploy that same might to be able to fight insurgency where they need it? In the end, APC finally won that election. You had a lot of military deployment. The military should be devolved for any political wrangling. And that's why we can get fairness and objectivity in this fight against insurgency.
All right. Thank you. Dr. Bati.
Okay, yesterday we had the flag off of the maiden summit of the African Chief of Defense Staff Summit, hosted by Nigeria's Chief of Defense Summit, Christopher Musa. And at that occasion, our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, speaking on behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It seems to me, categorically, that Nigeria struck all the right notes. Vice President Shettima, speaking on behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, made the point about unity, about cooperation, about partnership, in addressing the asymmetric challenge of terrorism and insurgency across African states. And I think that was a very strong point that the Vice President made on behalf of his principal. He also spoke that Africans need to speak with one voice and with one purpose in dealing with the challenge of terrorism. He talked about a village square of ideas. In other words, emphasizing in that paragraph in his speech, the necessity for mutual cooperation, collaboration, partnership. And I went further also to talk about making the spirit of unity a cornerstone of Africa's security architecture. I think that these were very important statements. And then he went further, speaking on behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to say that, look, the modern day threats that we face are digital, asymmetric, and often invincible. And because of that, African nations need to come together to face the future. And the future is about artificial intelligence. So as far as speeches go, I think that it was a very well appointed, very well delivered speech in terms of collaboration. Because after all, these African countries, they are all involved in this together, whether you are talking about Somalia or Chad or Niger, and then the United Nations represented by our own Ajia Amina Mohammed, stress the point about how, look, this collaboration is very important, either within the framework of the AFCTFTA or, other collaborations like the collaborations, regional collaborations, and also collaborations on small and light weapons within the African continent. So I think it was a good outing for Nigeria, and Nigeria being chosen as the host of the event was also not just symbolic, but also instructive. And I would like to congratulate Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, for hosting this particular event. The only caveat here, I must put the caveat in this regard, is that these African countries, they have differences in terms of capabilities. They have different challenges, whether you are coming from Ethiopia to Somalia to Chad to Niger or the entire Sahel region. However, the point made by the Nigerian president through Vice President Shetima about unity, about collaboration, about the sharing of a village of ideas, I think is very important, because when you work together, you will not work alone. That settles that matter in my view. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is in Brazil. The second time he's in Brazil this year. This time around, he's there on a state visit. And the major issues coming out of there is President Tinubu saying Petrobras, he's invited to come back to Nigeria. Now, Petrobras is one of the most successful oil corporations in the world, after Aramco, the Saudi Aramco. Now, Petrobras was in this country before, but they had to leave because of the Nigerian factor. So I think it's enheartening to hear that Petrobras is being invited back, even if Petrobras doesn't need us. They are doing very well. Everybody is going to Brazil to try to partner with Petrobras. But however, 5 MOUs in total were signed with Brazil. What I keep emphasizing on this table is that Nigeria has an obligation to follow up, to follow through on those obligations. It's not enough to just sign. You sign, so what next? So you say Petrobras, you come back to Nigeria's oil and gas space. Okay. So what are the guarantees that Petrobras will not have the same collision with the Nigerian factor? And then, apart from that, there were issues about economic development, foreign affairs, science and tech, and more importantly, agriculture. Brazil has done very well in terms of agriculture. And there are lessons that can be learned at a personal level from Lula, President Lula of Brazil. Either in terms of this, what do they call it now? Cash transfer? Social cash transfer, addressing the concerns of the poor. I hope that President Tinubu will come home with lessons in that regard. But from the point of view of diplomacy, it looks like good diplomacy. Second time President Tinubu is visiting Brazil this year, trying to, engage Brazil. One of the other things they said is that Nigeria is going to have direct flights with Brazil. We used to have it. DC-9, DC-10 from Lagos used to go direct to Brazil. But the thing floundered. It failed because of the Nigerian factor. So if they want to revive it, it is good. After all, we have an Afro-Brazilian community in Brazil. There are many persons in Bahia. There are many persons in Bekuta. There's even a community in Brazil called Bekuta. where the people say they are originally from Abeokuta in Nigeria, and all these cultures, Shango and all these traditional cultures, they are there in Brazil. So we have strong historical and cultural affinities with the people of Brazil. But can we sustain it? Can we do it well? You know, and well, I think it's also good on the sideline that President Lula is saying he will support Nigeria's search for a seat in G20, and that he will also support Nigeria's aspiration to get a permanent seat on the Security Council of the United Nations. But, you know, all of these points, I think they are valid, but it's not enough to just travel. And I hope when President Tinubu is coming back, we're not going to hear this funny story. He will take a stopover in France. He will take a stopover in London. Look, Brazil to Nigeria is just about 7 hours. When the business in Brazil is done, let him fly home directly. Because to go to Japan, he had to stop in Dubai. To go to US, to Brazil, he had to stop in Los Angeles. No, please, we want the president back. There's a lot of work to be done right here. All this rigmaroling with a presidential aircraft, Eagle One, you know, they say it is. He should come back home because there's work to be done. We don't want to hear France. We don't want to hear England stopover. He should just come home, 6-7 hours, okay? And then we can review. And I hope foreign ministry will be present-minded enough to follow up on this memoranda of understanding. I'm sure they have too many in the foreign ministry that they have even not looked at, because at the end of the day, those doubters, those skeptics who say that this foreign marketing is just about, you know, just escort, you know, enjoying at the expense of poor Nigerians. Well, I don't want to go in that direction. I rest my matter.
All right.
Now, finally, PDP, this meeting yesterday, they finally zoned this ticket to the south. Now, even the ticket to the south between Peter Obi or former President Goodluck Jonathan, is it the two of them Jonathan should be the vice to Peter Obi, or Peter Obi should be the vice to Jonathan under PDP, or whoever shows interest between the two of them will get the ticket, right? If Jonathan do not want to run, Peter Obi will get the ticket under PDP, or if Jonathan wants to run, he will get the ticket and Peter Obi will be the vice. Which one? Whichever one. I don't see anyone working between these two. Okay, I won't say these two because I am not sure that Jonathan is going to run. I don't think so. Like with this advice that a lot of people have been advising, Jonathan is not going to run. And remember, constitutionally, Jonathan is not qualified to run again under PDP, or even to run as a president of this country again. He is not qualified constitutionally. But because of Nigeria, they will push you forward. They say you are qualified, you are going to run this and this and that, because the matter is already at the court, right? Constitutionally, when he wanted to run that time, they took the matter to the court that he's not qualified to run. Right? If that time, say, if he's even qualified, if he has won the election to contest again that time, maybe because he was the president, he could have used the influence of the president at that time to manipulate the court order at that time. But this time, because constitutionally says once you have been sworn in, taking oath of office on one particular office twice, you are not qualified again. Because if Jonathan comes back again in 2027, even if he wins that election, somebody from the APC or from another party will have to go to the Supreme Court again to bring up this issue that Jonathan is not qualified, that constitutionally he has been sworn in twice already, taking oath of office twice, so he does not qualify again. Yes, the argument will be like, the first oath was not his oath. It doesn't matter. You sworn oath at that time to complete you complete Yaradua's tenure before you take your oath to do your 4 years. So whichever one, constitutionally you are not qualified. So with this, even Jonathan, you are too smart to know all this, that let PDP push you forward. When the matter gets to the court at that time, PDP will not be there because Tinubu is the owner of the court. So they're going to strike that application. Then they will just disqualify you. Somebody who became second at that time, they will declare that person the winner. Do you understand? So it's of no use. And again, Peter Obi, I don't think so. Peter Obi is contesting under PDP, or I don't know. He never said public officially which party he's contesting from. They are still deliberating. They are still working on that ground. Let's see what happens before that time. And now, Wike, I want to see Wike. With this one now, I'll say that they deceived him first. Because for him, he will be thinking that he won the battle, that they finally zoned the ticket to the South. Even as that, is of no use to him, because he's not going to support PDP to win election. He's going to support APC to win election. If APC wins election, that means Wike's position will still remain as SCT minister. Even Tinubu can decide to remove him, because after winning 2027 election, Tinubu does not care again. You don't have any offer to him again. So Tinubu can decide to change you at that time. But Wike should know this. And if PDP wins, even if Wike supports PDP and anybody from that APC, anybody from PDP wins this election, right, I do not think the person is going to give Wike any ministerialism. Well, I won't say, yeah, Wike has that capacity to also say, don't worry, I'm going to support you and make sure PDP win this election. But before then, agreement. We'll do this, then I get this. This is my position. So Wike can do that as well. But even if he decided to do that, I don't think he's going to win the election. So whichever one, there's still problem. And ADC is there. So I don't know. For me, if PDP was serious, if there was no this distraction from PDP, all this opposition ADC, they would have formed coalitions with PDP. Other party would have been happy if PDP were, if there was no problem, if Wike has not scattered PDP, had not bring troubles to PDP, having different factions in PDP, that would have been the best. This coalition they are using, adopting ADC, the ADC, he said this one he say is a leader, this one he say is a leader, this one he say he's contesting on that ADC. There is a lot of problems going on there. PDP would have been the best option if they are united like before. So now they would have formed this coalition under a PDP, while other parties will be happy to join the coalition under PDP to unseat Tinubu. Do you understand? That would have been the best. And they will just give the ticket to somebody whom they think was able to defeat Tinubu, that Nigerians will be happy to support the person. Right? It would have been better not going through primaries again. They don't already have it. You zone the ticket to the South. It is your turn. It is the turn of the South. We don't need primaries again. Just go there. We are all supporting you under APs, under PDP. It would have been best to defeat Tinubu. And all these governor wouldn't have left PDP. If all these governor has not left PDP, yes, anyways, it's still possible to come back. They can be APC and work for PDP, because they know they are PDP. Some of the positions are sure for them, even if they decamp. This is politics. Work is going on underground. They are on this party does not mean that they are actually going to work for the party. Wike was a PDP overnight, he changed figure, he worked for APC, which that one shouldn't be my head in my problem. So everything is possible in Nigeria. So now, let's see who is representing the party PDP and what they are going to do in 2027. Anyways, what do you think? Please share this video. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Be your guy. Run out for me now.